You see, it's right behind me that Marseille's history begins. At the time, it was just a large rocky inlet. And then King Nam arrived. This may have been 700 years before Christ. And this King Nam had a daughter called Gypitis. He decided to get her married. A husband must be found for her. And this young lady found a charming husband, a Greek, a real buck, called Neprotis. And there you had a lovely match that today symbolizes the life of Marseille on these Mediterranean shores and the intermixing of all its populations. In Marseille, we're being told stories every day, and even when there aren't any, they invent them. Sometimes they take it so far that you just don't know where it's going to end. Morta la gallina, as they say in
Morta
Nice.
la gallina.
We're now in the very heart of the Panier. The Panier area is where Marseille's heart beats strongest. Marseille without the Panier wouldn't be Marseille. Marseille means the writer and filmmaker Marcel Pagnol, of course, 50 years ago, and his celebrated card game with Rému. And in this area, there's an amazing character that we're going to meet. I'm taking you there now, called Etienne Cassaro. He has a restaurant, a pizzeria, but you'll see, every world citizen meets there.
Aren't you? Look at this smart guy. Hey, whatever you're doing
I
here.
came to see you, made up my mind. How are
You
you?
look wonderful, son.
Bloody hell, come on, damn it. Make yourself at home.
Come on in, you're welcome.
I love hearing you laugh.
It's the only restaurant in Marseille where poor people are welcome. The sausage is tops and not expensive. See, there are 4 of us and we have to share this small piece. If you want to taste it, we'll try hard to please you.
Tell us its price, dear sir.
Oh, its price? I dare not say.
250 euros.
For 4 guests,
Or
though.
indeed.
For 4.
That's expensive.
Well, quality has a price.
Tell me, Etienne.
Yes, sonny.
How long have you been making the best pizza in the world?
Since
How many years?
Since 1943.
I wasn't even born.
There you are. That's why, see? I was 8 at the time when my parents started this place. See how prosperous it's become? Lovely, isn't it? My best
I'm thinking of
souvenir
those who can't afford it. They must be
is
sulking.
when I saw someone arrive, when I saw this Tony guy, a Tony guy. When I see you, I see a Tony guy.
And what did he say?
I was tall as you are there. This guy too's always played the cowboy.
Do you think I'd play the cowboy, me? I'm afraid the horse wouldn't have anything to do with me.
I kept seeing him for 8 days, and for 8 days we had a ball. Annie, 2 bottles of rosé over here.
She's bringing them in, she is.
Annie, 2 bottles of rosé for me.
Hey, stop it. We've had mounds of bottles of rosé by now.
This is for Philippe.
It's for that table,
Well,
yeah.
yes. Yes and no. And it's on the house, mine.
Oh, that's what makes me... He's a lovely man, I'll tell you. A fine man.
Etienne, here. Keep it in the fridge for tomorrow because we daren't finish it.
Oh, wait a minute. This is for tomorrow? For tomorrow, is that
Yes.
it?
There's the Marseille with its working class areas, of course, like the Panier, where we've just been. But also the Marseille of the bourgeoisie, with its beautiful avenues such as the Avenue of the Republic, with its elegant houseman facades. And to learn more about this city's rebirth, we need a master expert on the matter. And this master's now facing me. It's Eric Royard. So, Eric.
The Street of the Republic is a sleeping beauty. On one side, it's the biggest houseman-style avenue on earth, with its homogeneous architecture and an artistic quality in its facades, and artwork in its mouldings, its ironwork, its cornices, its caryatides, which are really magnificent. This avenue had been designed to connect the old harbour to the new merchant port of the Joliette at the end of the Second Empire. Unfortunately, the avenue was rejected by the bourgeoisie of Marseille, as it didn't feel like living in an avenue that in fact linked the old harbour to the industrial area to the merchant harbour. It wasn't nice in their view, it wasn't smart, so they never lived in it. The Pereire brothers, to whom we owe, among other things, the wonderful urban planning of the Plaine Monceau, which is one of the nicest districts in Paris, lost their last cent here, unhappy souls. And since these buildings necessarily had to find some use, they were converted into 19th century working-class lodgings with tiny flats that so far have hardly at all been looked after. And not at all looked after in the case of those owned by Marseille République, which have become insalubrious. Yet we are now in a period of rebirth. The docks, this patio of docks in the center of Euro-Méditerranée, where we are right now, is the very symbol of it. They used to be industrial warehouses facing the merchant harbor. The restoration today of the Street of the Republic aims at giving it back the dignity it should never have lost. Behind these listed facades, which mustn't be altered for they are absolutely magnificent, and which are going to be highlighted thanks to the contribution of craftsmen, stonecutters and craftsmen in wrought iron too, we're carrying out this approach in cooperation with the C-Tech Architecture Workshop with Roland Carta and his full team. Marseille is a new center of development of audiovisual techniques. 400 film shootings have taken place in Marseille over the last year. It's a harbor with the dynamics that go with the life of a harbor. Constant activity with many people coming here, going elsewhere, people trading, people communicating. It's an absolutely amazing city and it's now recovering all its vitality. There are historical monuments. God knows there are very many. The Panier Court of Bruno, the Good Mother Cathedral, places to visit, its Calanques or rocky inlets. You can spend 10 days in Marseille and never go through the same place twice, while still seeing wonderful things, and it all makes sense together when it goes with a good meal. Because our gastronomy is inimitable and is one of the reasons too that many people get on a plane for a few hours to come to France. It's obviously the only reason that cannot be relocated abroad.
One guy who's not to be relocated is my pal Dominique Ferrard, whom I'm meeting now, and who is one of Marseille's most refined cooks.
Plus Ibiza, c'est ville de Marseille en fait.
For number 4, a risotto and a well-done pigeon.
Yes, sir.
$35, here's the well-done pigeon.
Right.
Now, Dominique, tell me, you're not a Marseille native, are you?
No, lads, I'm from the Ardennes region. But I've been about 15 years in the Marseille area, of which a full 11 years spent here in the kitchen of the Trois Forts. So now I feel I've been adopted and proud of almost being a purebred Marseille native.
And how is one adopted? Tell me about it.
Well, one's adopted by the people of Marseille by doing more or less what they do themselves. I love this city and I've fallen in love with it. It's a magical city, an idyllic setting.
And this house?
A house such as the Trois Forts, with its 134 rooms above Marseille's old harbour, has an amazing view from the Estaque to our Dame de la Garde Church, the Saint-Jean Esplanade, the Faro, the Canebière Avenue. Everything's beautiful, everything appeals to you. I love Marseille. I've become passionately fond of Marseille, and that's why I champion Marseille and breed Marseille. It's the topmost European city in the Mediterranean area. It has inherited from North Africa its spicy, colourful cuisine, a savoury cuisine. Marseille is an addition of cascading villages. I could take you on a round to every place where products are supplied, a whole historical tour, to taste them, but that's another story. To the Panier Quartier, to the Canebière, and that's Marseille, a lovely place.
Could we say that Marseille's panis is a first cousin of Nice's soccer?
Oh yes, the panis is typical of and belongs to the history of the Estaque, a true Marseille quartier, l'Estaque. There's a tradition in Marseille according to which when you come back from the beach, you stop there. There are shacks there, the small blue shacks opening at the L'Estaque, the Estaque village, opening at 4 p.m. And there you eat the fried panis, either salted or sweet, that we call the Massilian chichi. So I pour in the water a few drops of olive oil to give us the fat content, 2 large spoonfuls of olive oil. There. We'll pour at once our chickpea flour.
In one go. How much is there in that bowl?
For 1 litre of water, there's 250 grams of chickpea flour and 2 large spoonfuls of olive oil, salt and pepper.
Well, of course.
Now, we stir it like this until it acquires a homogeneous consistency, 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll be stirring it constantly on the fire. Once it's cooked for a good 10 minutes, we'll already have nicely dried up the soccer flour. That is the chickpea flour in the water. There, when stringing it, it breaks up. There, nicely dried up. Then I add some tarragon in it. Once I've added the tarragon, I'll take it off the fire to let it cool, so it'll harden, so as to be able to give it the shape you want. Now we've shaped it into a rectangle and flattened it. I'm going to put it aside in the fridge.
Now here's our panis after it's been 30 minutes in the fridge.
They're quite cold like this,
Quite cold.
so that we can easily cut it up, and it'll cut up into small, thick new potato fries, like a new potato thick fry. We'll fry it in olive oil, so I'll dip my big fries in very hot oil, in olive oil. There, you see them simmering right. It has to be fried quickly.
How hot must the olive oil be,
About
Dominic?
180 degrees, very hot oil. You have to fry it quickly. And as any fried food, it
Yeah?
must be very crisp.
Of course.
We have to get it very crispy outside and very creamy inside. There. Let's get them out. We'll lay them on absorbing paper so as to have them drip properly.
There's some left.
Absorb the oil in the excess.
Another two.
Look at that lovely shape.
Very pretty.
Let's sprinkle some salt on them.
We've let them drip on the paper so as to absorb the cooking fat.
Absorb the cooking fat. And you serve it as a garnish or serve it with a pre-meal drink.
That's it.
The celebrated panis de l'Estac with tarragon, the Marseillan panis.
I told you, everything here is Marseille style.
Thank you.
Bye.
How are you, Bruno?
And you?
Fine.
Here, lover boy. A good piece.
With some parsley, right?
We sell live fish at the price of dead one.
Is it dead? How are you?
And you? You know Dominic?
Hello.
We met.
He's the chef at the Trois Forts.
Oh, yeah, I met him. I met him last time at the barber's.
Oh, that's it.
At the barber's. Met him at the barber's.
Francois Barber's shop.
True enough.
Hey, I've been to your place to eat.
Have you?
And it's fine food. Haven't you been there? It's
That's
crazy.
Marseille.
Marseille's going
That's
crazy.
how Marseille is.
God forgive me, you're getting in my way.
You daft.
Bad
Go
language.
on.
Must she really?
She was almost blind, and thanks to that shellfish, she recovered her sight. Besides, if you look at its back, you'll see she's left the stamp of her eye behind it. You see there?
Do you think the people of Marseille invented that cock and bull
You
story,
bet.
or who told you that
We
story?
Marseillians have wits. We invented it, that's all.
Oh, you invented it.
Yeah, 17. Those are palamedes, tunny fish.
Oh, palamese.
And this is tunny leash.
A leash.
Yeah. Got a tail there?
Come on, buy some sea steak.
Oh, isn't it lovely meat?
Well, handsome, what do you need? Some nice
mullets.
mullets?
Like those.
I'll give you the fat
There.
ones there.
Yeah, that's it. In between, that's it.
In between.
That one. I'll cook for you, well, you certainly don't know it. You know mullets? I'll prepare mullet crostinis with a little tomato chutney and dried zucchinis and tomatoes with a French dressing. We'll get some livers and do a liver French dressing. You'll see it's smashing.
Right, no fooling around. Make something nice for us.
Right you are.
Right.
Right.
I'm already hungry. It gives me an appetite, see? And it smells good.
Let's start with the onions. Then I add the zucchinis and keep them sweating without letting it brown. And now I'll add some soft spices to it. Soft spices. These soft spices are a little curry, a mixture of curry with some curcuma, not too hot. Then add the dried tomatoes, always the same, no more of it than the onion and the zucchinis. We'll add to this some pepper, ground pepper, and a little fine salt. We still keep it simmering on a low fire. It has to stew very slowly, though it will soon be ready because the zucchini is a vegetable that contains plenty of natural juice. It cooks very readily. And we'll keep the zucchini with an al dente bite so that it remains crunchy when you bite it. We'll then add, towards the end, a small spoonful of flour, honey, any flowers, and we'll keep stirring it. The honey will act as a binder on our vegetables. The crostini have been slightly toasted on the slow combustion stove, and we're going to spread the chutney on the crostini. There. Our zucchini and dried tomatoes chutney must fully cover the crusty surface of the crostini. Let's lay it here. What remains to be done, because it's done all'ultimo, is cooking the mullet fillets. They've been seasoned with salt and pepper, and we'll add to them a drop of olive oil so that they don't stick to the pan. One knows that the frying pan is really hot because one hears the skin sputter. We fry the mullets with their skin on. We cook them only on one side, right? On the skin side only, and lay them directly on our crostini. You see, you recognize the red mullet by the orangey aspect of its skin. Now, we'll prepare our mix of the small leaves of rocket salad, also called here mizuna, a little salad wetted and mixed with some olive oil. Now the celebrated alfalfa, to please Bruno. Sprouts of lucerne that will add a crunchy bite to it. And finally, the liver French dressing. And the final touch, a little spot of fresh ground pepper.
The Angers crostini with rocket salad. Madame, Monsieur, enjoy your meal.
Tonight I'm dining with two ladies, both charming. One deals with paintings and the other with fashion matters. As you see, I'm being spoiled. So I'll question Marilyn first and ask her if there's a Marseille fashion trend and whether there is a specific Marseille fashion label.
There's a different fashion trend in Marseille, based, of course, on color, which I'd say is in fact Mediterranean, open to the south, in the labels established here. So their models often appeal to printed tissues. That's very important. And also a great sense of elegance in the shapes. They're extremely feminine. They're a tribute to the Mediterranean woman. And any style, I'd say, can find its expression in Marseille.
Now, Marie-Paul, you're head of all those Marseillan museums. Would you have me discover some treasures I don't know about?
Treasures, there are many.
Like what?
When one discusses Marseille, one doesn't necessarily mention at once museums, yet the city is culturally extremely wealthy. It has an amazing heritage. It's a highly dynamic city, and it's also noticeable for its ability to create events in the realm of culture. I'm very fortunate with my colleague from Montreal's Museum of Fine Arts in having originated a wonderful adventure, our friendship being at its source, but also our common passion for painting. So at the moment, we're organizing a really beautiful exhibition entitled Under the Sun, precisely, which is a tribute to Provence, a tribute to the particular genius and the spirit of this region, to its light which has inspired so many painters. It's a kind of widely spread tour that lets you discover important sites, but also the greatest painters, or the less-known painters such as Bidot, or better known as Vernet, and of course Lubon, who belonged to the school of Marseille, Cézanne, Van Gogh, Braque, Dufy, Derain, an itinerary in time through the history history of painting and also an actual journey through Provence, a tribute to a land that brought inspiration to the genius of those painters.
Yeah, well, I wanted very much to have you discover this panorama, this magic place, truly idyllic, the Rove. We're here in the Rove. Look at the view, it's really glorious.
Right you are, it's a beauty.
And I wanted you to discover it because a magic place also has its magic creature, the only one to thrive here. Now listen to me, the true, the veritable, the last existing Brousse goat of the Rove, the only goat thriving here in the Rove.
There's only one flock left.
Only one left, and I want you to meet André.
Morning, Mr. Shepherd.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Dominique.
How are you?
You're lucky to live here.
In 1480, my ancestor died here in the Rove. He was a shepherd and already had goats of the Rove. Well, me, I'm the 15th generation, and my two sons, the 16th.
Is it a particular breed of goats?
Now, this breed was brought here by the Phoenicians, so that's just after Marseille was founded about 2,600 years ago. And let me say that the Rove goat is descended from the original goats that thrived in Mesopotamia, because all these animals that have twisted horns are the descendants of the original animal. So at the time, the Rove shepherds were already here, right? Because you must know that shepherding appeared here about 8,000 years ago. Yeah, 8,000 years ago. That was 6,000 BC. So 8,000 years ago, shepherding appears here in southern France. And it still takes 1,000 years to have flocks appear in Brittany. The south truly is the cradle of shepherding. Now, the Brousse du Rove, as its name shows, is milk that's been bruised. That means when you add white vinegar to goat's boiled milk, you've bruised it. You artificially have the milk turn sour.
Right.
And then you get a sort of flake coming up as when you swim in the sea. You get this cheese flake coming right up, see? You recover this flake and it becomes a brousse as soon as you put it in a dish. And this Brousse du Rove, let's say you can recognize it by its particular shape, that is, cone-shaped. Let me tell you, in the 15th century they were already making Brousse du Rove to be sold, so they went to Marseille and they sold it by auction. I mean, they'd arrive in the neighborhoods, blow a trumpet and shout, Brousse du Rove! Then housewives would come out, hand a dish, and the Brousse turned out, see? So the way I work, I carry on my ancestors' tradition, and I'm the happiest man about it, that's it.
Well, as a reward, you're going to cook us a nice little dish.
Of course.
With that lovely Brousse du Rove.
And a dessert.
That'll be our reward.
Yes, sir.
Right?
We've got our lemon infusion ready, and we'll add to it our gelatin leaf.
One leaf.
2 leaves of gelatin.
2 leaves of gelatin.
2 softened gelatin leaves there, and there. And we'll pour our lemon jelly and keep it then in the fridge in these glasses. While our lemon jelly sets in the fridge, we're going to prepare the base with the Brousse du Rove. We'll add to it an egg yolk, sugar, 25 grams of sugar. We mix it all, sugar, the Brousse and the egg yolk. We'll spice it with some grated vanilla. Then add a little green lemon zest that will give it a fresh taste.
You can smell it. It does smell good.
Yeah, smells good, That's it.
Not bad.
Now, we'll put it aside and we'll have it back in the fridge.
Back in the fridge again.
In the fridge.
Dominique, 30 minutes in the fridge, and then the jelly's set.
Yes, that's it, but quivery. And then I'm going to add to my base.
The jelly taken from the fridge after 30 minutes.
Yes, I'm adding to it whipped cream.
Whipped cream. How much of it?
There's a quarter of a liter. So now I'll pour the base on the jelly, 2 spoonfuls per glass, and we'll add some puree of passion fruit.
Hey, it doesn't look bad.
I just only have to add now the used milk ice cream
That you put on top.
that we put on top, a scoop in each glass of used milk ice cream
You put cream instead of milk.
That's it. Instead
That's
of
simple.
cream, we have used milk with its supply of
Eggs, sugar.
fat contents because it still is.
And we keep at it.
Yes, the same principle,
Right.
and we keep at it. Once we've laid our scoop on top of our used cream, we add a sprig of rosemary.
And that's it.
A nice
Some
final
rosemary
touch.
from Aubagne scrubland.
That's it, and a small thin green lemon biscuit instead of the usual cigarette biscuit.
Of course.
More sweetness asks for a crunchy bite. The passion fruit, some of the passion fruit juice diminishes the sweetness.
Yes.
So, Bruno, here's our celebrated lemon jelly with Brousse du Rhône.
One of Marseille's little tokens of affection. Voila. I've counted 350 steps and even more. I couldn't help coming up here to say farewell to Marseille, and also to have my sins of greediness for food forgiven by the Holy Mother up there.